New trouble for House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi as Democrats are getting more optimistic about their chances of taking back the House. More of her own colleagues in her own party are coming out against the longtime leader amid growing concerns and questions on whether her presence will hurt Democrats in crucial swing states and in districts. Let's bring in Kayleigh McEnany, spokesperson for the Republican National Committee. This is a problem for Nancy Pelosi. It's not an old problem, to her. It's something that's been going on for quite some time. When Democrats are concerned that there's no real leadership in their party and they're not even in the majority, what does that say for the midterms?
It says that they're not only messageless, but they're leaderless. And you're exactly right to say that this is a problem that's been going on for some time. We look back at 2010, Republicans spent $50 million tying Democratic candidates across the country to Nancy Pelosi, and to great success. We know in 2010, we took back 63 House seats. So that's a very big deal. Nancy Pelosi is a huge problem for Democrats. That's why you see, Julie, more than 20 Democratic candidates across the country running against Nancy Pelosi, essentially saying we don't want her to be Speaker of the House.
Yeah, so then, you've not only got Democrats that don't want her to be Speaker of the House, you also have people among her own parties talking about how the minorities that she's supposed to be appealing to don't even want her in office. In fact, here is Florida congressional candidate Elvira Salazar, and she basically calls Nancy Pelosi a traitor to Hispanics. She appeared on Tucker's show last night. Let's play that clip.
In 1996, President Clinton signed something called the Immigration Reform Law, which gave the legal framework for President Trump to be separating families. So let me just start with those two facts. That's why President Obama and Nancy Pelosi are traitors to Hispanics.
There are more than 20 Democratic candidates right now that are actively running against her. When does Nancy Pelosi finally get the message?
I think by the end of this term, she'll probably make a run for the minority position. I do think we'll keep the House, and I don't think she'll have much success at that point because this is a party that has gone so far left. They're embracing socialism. Nancy Pelosi is a relic of the Democratic Party past. And Julie, the problem, you cite those 20 candidates. It's even in her own home state. The San Jose Mercury News took a survey of California Democrats, so far left California Democrats, and of the 34 candidates running, only 2 were willing to say they support Nancy Pelosi. She is absolutely toxic. We will be using her and deploying her across the country in favor of Republican candidates.
I love how she likes to call out back when President Trump's approval rating wasn't as strong as it is today, when she has an abysmal 29% approval rating herself.
That's exactly right. 29%, not necessarily a glowing endorsement from the American people. And you ask why, and just look at some of the statements she's made recently saying, let's solve the problem on the border by mowing the grass. Yeah. Yes, she said that. She called tax cuts Armageddon. She said giving the people more of their money, that's just crumbs. She makes gaffes all the time. She's an elitist, and she is really dragging down Democratic tickets across the country.
Speaking of making gaffes, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez made another gaffe, I should say. There's been multiple. This appearing on another network when discussing the leader of the Democratic Party, which she seemed to have a little bit trouble addressing. Let's play that.
Do you recognize her as the leader for the House Democrats?
Of course. Well, I think absolutely right now, she...
Go ahead, please.
She is the leader of Speaker, or rather Leader Pelosi. Hopefully, we'll see. She is the current leader of the party, and I think that the party absolutely does have its leadership in the House. We have our leadership in the Senate as well.
So she ultimately corrected her there. I mean, I guess she's thinking, is she the leader of the party, as in that she's the most well-recognized, or is she actually the leader in the House, which, as we know, she's not. She's a minority leader. But nonetheless, I mean, to hear from her coming out, which, by the way, Fox has invited her on. We've invited her on this program countless times. I've reached out personally to her team and her media team. They don't feel like we'd be fair to her. I've assured them we would be. She doesn't want to come on. So she's very selective as to who she speaks to. And then when she does appear on another network, she says things like that.
Yeah, surprise, surprise, a Democrat trying to have it both ways, as we saw with Ocasio-Cortez. If you're making gaffes like that, on CNN, you've got a problem. If you're a Democrat, that's a softball interview you got there that we just saw, and she can't even answer simple questions. She went on in that same interview to say that funeral costs, savings of funeral costs, are what's going to pay for single payer. Last time I checked, single payer doesn't make anyone immortal. Funeral costs is a laughable answer for how you're going to pay for a $30 trillion program. But, you know, she's a socialist. She doesn't have any logic to her answers, and I would suggest she gets some media training, because answers like that aren't going to take her very far.
All right, Kayleigh McEnany, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Great to see you.